Welcome to the Explainer. So glad you're here. We are tackling one of the most universal frustrations we face today. Just picture this, right? You're working with an insanely powerful AI. We're talking about a system trained on literally the entire internet. And you ask it a question that honestly a 10-year-old could answer. But the AI, it just completely fumbles it. It spits out an answer that's so painfully literal or just so confusingly illogical that you're just left staring at your screen like, are you kidding me? Well, today, we're going to fix that.
Seriously, have you ever experienced this? A large language model, or LLMs, giving you a highly literal or bizarrely illogical answer to what seemed like the simplest question in the world? It happens all the time, and, it sets up a massive problem for anyone relying on AI for their daily workflows. Because bad prompts, they lead to bad data, and bad data leads to wasted time. But here's the thing. The secret isn't necessarily writing some massive 1,000-word mega prompt. Actually, sometimes the secret is just asking the AI to think a little differently before it actually speaks.
So, here's our roadmap for today's explainer. First, why AI misunderstands you. Second, introducing rephrase and respond. Third, seeing it in action. Fourth, advanced techniques. And finally, the limitations.
Okay, let's dive right into this. Section 1. Why AI misunderstands you.
It's crazy, right? Why does a machine that can literally write code or draft complex legal contracts stumble over basic human ambiguity? Well, to understand the solution, we kind of have to look at the problem first. When we humans use a phrase like, say, an even month, our brains naturally use contextual clues to figure out exactly what that means. But an AI? Oh boy. An AI goes down a very confusing rabbit hole of literal definitions. It asks itself things like, wait, does odd mean strange? So February is an odd month because it has 28 days? Or does it mean a month with an odd number of days? Or, hold on, the concept of even and odd applies to integers, not to a calendar. Basically, a human concept that makes total sense to us sends the AI spiraling into this whole web of contradictory definitions.
Which brings us to Section 2, introducing rephrase and respond.
So how on earth do we fix this? Do we have to sit there and write incredibly long, mathematically precise prompts every single time we want to ask about a date? Absolutely not. The solution isn't some complex, hyper-technical algorithm. Actually, it's a surprisingly simple psychological trick we can play on the AI. Enter rephrase and respond, or RaR for short. This is a prompt engineering technique that improves an LLM's accuracy by simply asking the model to rephrase your question before it actually provides the answer. The folks who created this technique realized that instead of us, the humans, constantly pulling our hair out searching for the perfect prompt formula, we can just offload that work. We literally force the model to refine its own understanding of our messy, ambiguous human query first.
In this quote right here, it brilliantly illustrates the sheer simplicity of the whole thing. Just look at this from the source text. It is just one sentence. Rephrase and expand the question and respond. That's the whole shebang. It's practically a magic phrase. All you do is append this exact sentence to the very end of whatever prompt you're already writing.
All right, Section 3, seeing RaR in action. Let's look at the proof.
Because, in the world of prompt engineering, talk is cheap. You really need to see the data. So let's go back to our calendar dilemma. In our first test, we give the AI a super simple prompt. Was Ludwig van Beethoven born in an even month? And the AI output? Well, it says, no, Ludwig van Beethoven was born on December 17. Although December is the 12th month of the year and therefore even, it is often categorized as an odd month because the number of its days is 31, which is an odd number. You can practically hear the robotic gears grinding and failing, right? The standard prompt completely missed the mark on basic calendar logic. It tried to merge integer math with the days of a month and confidently, very confidently, gave us the completely wrong answer.
Now let's run that exact same test, but this time we add our magic RaR phrase to the end. The AI first rephrases the question to, was Ludwig van Beethoven born during a month with an even number, and if so, which month was it? Having clarified the intent for itself, it then responds, Ludwig van Beethoven was born on December 17th. December is the 12th month of the year, which is an even number. Thus, Beethoven was indeed born in an even month. Boom, clarity and confidence. And the reason this works for the AI's brain is just fascinating. By generating those rephrased tokens first, it gives the model a much better, wider context window to draw from for its final answer. By forcing the AI to essentially clarify the question out loud, it fixed its own broken logic instantly.
Let's set up a second test just to further prove this framework really works. This one's a classic state tracking logic puzzle.
The prompt reads, "A coin is heads up. Arino flips the coin. Arthur flips the coin. Is the coin still heads up?" Flip means reverse. Answer the yes or no question. Now, it's pretty simple for us to track, right? 2 flips mean it's right back to where it started. But how does the AI handle it?
Well, without our magic phrase, the prompt yields a flat, completely incorrect answer. No. It just couldn't hold that sequence of events in its context properly. But look at the output when we use RaR. The AI actually talks through the timeline. It notes the starting position, tracks Aluna's flip, tracks Arthur's flip, recognizes that 2 reverses mean a return to the original state, and successfully arrives at the correct answer. So yes, the coin is still heads up.
Moving right along. Section 4, Advanced RR Techniques. Now, what's really interesting about this next slide is how we can scale this up.
Let's take this foundational concept and really level it up. We're moving from basic RaR to more advanced, scalable workflows for complex tasks. This is the two-step RaR process. So instead of asking one model to do everything in a single prompt, you actually separate the cognitive load. Step 1, you give your question to a rephrasing LLM, whose sole job is to generate a pristine, expanded version of your query. Step 2, you take both the original question and the new rephrase question, and you feed them into a responding LLM. What's honestly incredible here is that you can use a highly advanced, maybe more expensive model just to do the rephrasing, and then pass that perfect prompt over to a faster, weaker, or cheaper model to get the final response. It totally maximizes your results while optimizing your resources. A real game changer.
And we can push this even further. We can combine RaR with few-shot chain of thought prompting. If you're already giving the AI a few examples of how you want a problem solved, you can append a slightly modified RaR phrase at the very end of your examples. You say, "Given the above question, rephrase and expand it to help you do better answering. Maintain all information in the original question." That last part, absolutely crucial. Saying maintain all information is your safeguard against the AI hallucinating new parameters and going off the rails.
Let's look at how this handles complex symbolic reasoning. We provide the AI with a one-shot example. Basically, we show it how to take the last letters of the words in Elon Musk and concatenate them to make NK. Then we give it the real task: concatenate the last letters of Annette, Aaron, Marisol, Esperanza. And we finish the prompt by adding our advanced RaR phrase. It is genuinely impressive that adding this one simple phrase can force the AI to handle such a weird, highly specific task. And as you'll see, the output is flawless. Because we forced it to rephrase and expand based on our previous example, the AI painstakingly goes step by step. It identifies the E in Annette, the N in Aaron, the L in Marisol, and the A in Esperanza. Then it brings them all together. The answer is ENLA. RaR perfectly guided the AI through a multi-word concatenation task that normally trips up even the most advanced models out there. Finally, Section 5, the limitations of RaR. Let's bring this back down to earth a bit. Look, as amazing as this is, every technique has its boundaries, right? As your guide through these concepts, it's my job to explore when not to use this tool. RAS is for sure not a silver bullet for every single situation. First off, if your question is already perfectly straightforward, asking the AI to rephrase it might make the query unnecessarily complex, which just leads to a bloated answer. Second, this entire framework relies heavily on the model's baseline ability to accurately rephrase. If the model is too weak and completely messes up the rephrasing step, well, your final response is pretty much doomed. And third, sometimes the AI might inadvertently alter your original intent when it expands the question, meaning it answers a question you didn't actually mean to ask. So always keep a close eye on how the AI rewrote your prompt. Which brings us to the end of our explainer today. We've seen how ambiguity breaks AI, how a single magic sentence can force the model to self-correct, and how to scale this up into advanced two-step workflows. So I want to leave you with this final provocative thought. Look at your workflow today. What is the very first prompt you are going to rewrite using the rephrase and respond technique? Try it out. Experiment with the phrasing and watch your AI transform from a confused robot into a deeply logical assistant. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and hey, happy prompting!